You're watching Fox 45 Morning News. All local, all morning.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Fox 45 Morning News. It is Tuesday, May 22nd, and we begin here with breaking news. A manhunt underway here in Baltimore County after an officer is killed in the line of duty. Right now, police searching for the suspect or suspects responsible. We have live team coverage keeping you up to date here. We have Stephanie Woods. She's finding out how this investigation is impacting schools and students as they head back to class. We have Amber Miller, who is hearing from witnesses who rushed in to try and help save that fallen officer. Before we get to all of this live coverage, this breaking news, we do want to send it back inside to the studio to Tom and Patrice.
All right, thank you, Megan. We'll get right back to our live team coverage here in just a little bit. But first, we need to get another look at your traffic and weather.
That's right. We do that every 10 minutes. Let's get started with Jonathan Myers and a look at the forecast.
Yeah, Tom and Patrice, looking like we're going to be dealing with some messy weather coming our way. HD radar shows some approaching rain from the west. Dayton, Westminster, Gaithersburg, even now here in Baltimore. Take a look. Yep, there it is, just starting to encroach along the Beltway, so you can have some wet travels. Now, it's light rain for now, but the heavier stuff is in the Ohio Valley. Here it comes by this afternoon. Notice at about 2, 3 o'clock. Starting to see some of the heavier rain from the west and maybe even some severe weather this afternoon. We'll track it for you with team coverage coming up in just a few minutes. Amy Aronson is in this morning. Now we've got Candace Olson with our traffic catch.
All right, thanks, Jonathan. We've been talking about a crash out along the southbound side of 95. The activity right between 100 and 175. Let me show you a live look from our traffic jam. Jimmy, he's out in our Lynn Solar mobile track right now, and we are talking about significant delays leading up to the area. At this point, 29 is heavy with the volume, so I would stick with 1 or even the 295 stretch just leading up towards 195, but then all bets are off. So 1 is going to be the best option for the entire corridor. Back over to you.
Thank you, Candace. We want to go back now to that breaking news here in Baltimore County. We're standing here along Bel Air Road. This road shut down last night as police were looking and searching for the suspect or suspects responsible for killing a Baltimore County officer this morning. As you take a look here, you can see traffic back open. We've seen people out walking. Something we haven't seen is very many police officers, just a handful here. We're at the Church of Christ just off of Bel Air Road. This was the staging area this morning. You can still see the mobile unit at the very end of the parking lot. Just over the last hour, we have seen, again, just a handful of officers. They pull into the parking lot here. They talked a little bit. They're not saying anything to us, and then they've left. There's only one unmarked car down here. There is an officer sitting in that blue SUV down here. He said that he was just told to come back here this morning after he left at 10 o'clock last night. We know there has been an extensive search. As you look behind us, guys, this is a wooded area here. As you think about looking for suspect or even suspects plural, it's an intense search. They brought in canine units. They had tactical units going up and down the street here. Part of the reason this road was shut down. What's going on right now? We are still waiting to hear back. We've put many calls in. We want to let you know what we can confirm here at this hour. Here is a timeline of what we know has led us up to this point right here. It was 2 p.m. yesterday that the officer was killed responding to a report of a suspicious vehicle on a cul-de-sac in Perry Hall's Bel Air Road. The officer, a female, was rushed to Franklin Square Hospital where she died at 2:50 p.m. Right now, her identity is not being released. We do know that she was with the Parkville precinct. July would have been her 4-year anniversary on the force. And again, right now, we know at least one suspect remains on the loose, but police are not saying if any arrests have been made or exactly how many people they could be looking for. We have learned that body camera footage has been found, and right now police are reviewing it, trying to identify the suspects involved here. We know the suspect's vehicle, a dark-colored Jeep, was recovered shortly after the incident not far away on Donvale Road. Listen in.
We can't confirm that the Jeep was involved in the injuries of the officer. We can confirm that this Jeep was involved in this crime. This was the suspicious vehicle that was called, and this was the vehicle that our suspects were either in or fleeing from shortly after the officer was injured.
According to the nonprofit group Officer Down Memorial Page, this is the first Baltimore County officer to be killed in the line of duty since 2013. If you remember, Tactical Officer Jason Schneider was shot and killed August 28th of that year. Prior to that, Sergeant Bruce Ponthero was shot and killed in an armed robbery at a Pikesville jewelry store. That shooting happened in February of 2000. According to the site, this marks the 11th Baltimore County officer to have been killed in the line of duty. The first happening back in 1932. This is the first female officer to be killed in Baltimore County. We are hoping to learn more about that officer that was killed yesterday, more about her life, more about the investigation underway, where the officers that were once here, where they are now, what they could be investigating, if any suspects are in custody. Something else I know a lot of you parents are wondering is how this is impacting schools here this morning. Many of them placed on lockdown last evening. Kids were held there between 7:30 last night. We want to send it now to Stephanie Wood. She's at Perry Hall Elementary School with what parents can expect here this morning. Stephanie.
Well, Baltimore County Public Schools, we are just learning, will be open today, including schools like Perry Hall Elementary School. They will start on time today. This as parents still don't know what the security risk is in the area after some of these Perry Hall schools, area schools, were locked down for hours yesterday, some of them up to 3 hours after the last bell rang. But we are learning that St. Joseph's School, a private Catholic school in the area, they are on a 2-hour delay this morning, starting at 10 o'clock because kids were kept late under lockdown last night. Now, while police were doing a manhunt searching for this cop killer last night in the Perry Hall area, several different Baltimore County public schools were locked down. 4 elementary schools in the area were locked down to protect kids. That includes Perry Hall, Seven Oaks, Kearney, and Gunpowder. Baltimore County Public Schools says that the schools were on alert status with no one allowed to enter or exit the buildings. Parents rushed to the buildings and were anxiously awaiting their kids outside while the kids were still on lockdown.
I panicked and I was pacing, waiting on a cab. I actually have a cab waiting with the meter running, but we'll be okay. I just panicked and I'm glad to get my baby back. I'm just glad to get my baby back.
I mean, I never experienced this before, so this is really new for me. So this is a reliever walking into this door.
Now, the district did not allow parents to pick up their kids until about 7:30 last night. Now, Baltimore County Public Schools says that, yes, although these schools will be open, the schools immediately in the Perry Hall area, they will have additional security today, including police detail. We're live here in Perry Hall. Stephanie Woods, Fox 45 Morning News.
Thank you, Stephanie. And coming up in about 10 minutes, we're going to go live to Amber Miller. She has the story of 2 brothers who tried to rush in and save that officer's life. An interview you're only going to see here on Fox 45. For now, we do want to send it back to the studio to Tom and Patrice.
All right. Thank you very much, Megan. Well, this morning, after you're hearing what Megan is describing, what happened yesterday, a lot of people probably still waking up in fear this morning as the people or person responsible for that officer's death still on the run. After the incident, officers quickly set up a wide perimeter, shutting down that neighborhood. No one allowed in or out. Those who live in that Perry Hall neighborhood were trying to get home. They couldn't do so until late last night. Donald Muir is a retired police sergeant. He was home when it happened and watched it all from his home.
Just on standby, just keeping the visual around the neighborhood. Being in law enforcement for 38 years, I'm armed, you know.
Right now?
Yes, and I keep an eye out for the neighborhood. There's a lot of wooded areas behind our houses here.
Well, while the crime tape may be gone this morning, many people are worried that the suspects could still be hiding in their neighborhood.
And make sure you stay with us for continuing live team coverage all morning long in this breaking story. You can also find the latest information anytime right on our website, foxbaltimore.com.
Well, in some other news this morning, a homicide investigation is underway in Montgomery County after police found a man dead inside his car in Burtonsville. Officers responded to a shots fired call late last night and found the man injured inside his vehicle on Ballinger Drive. Paramedics tried to save his life, but he did not survive. The medical examiner is now working to figure out how the victim died.
Making headlines, an Australian archbishop becomes the most senior Roman Catholic cleric to be convicted of covering up child sex abuse. The judge found Archbishop Philip Wilson guilty, saying the archbishop hid the crimes when he elected not to report the allegations to police. The archbishop faces a potential 2-year prison stint when he returns to court for sentencing next month. A Baltimore pastor has been suspended from the ministry and removed from his functions as a priest amid allegations of child sexual abuse stemming from the 1970s. According to the Archdiocese of Baltimore, 77-year-old Father Luigi Esposito, a pastor at Our Lady of Pompeii Church, is accused of child sexual abuse while he was serving as an associate pastor for the congregation. The alleged victim claims the abuse began at 14 and occurred multiple times. Esposito denies the allegations and an investigation is ongoing.
7:09 and former Baltimore Police Commissioner Darrell D'Souza makes an appearance in federal court. This is 6 days after resigning from his position. D'Souza appeared in court as a defendant in a federal tax evasion trial. He did not enter a plea. Instead, he answered questions about the conditions of his release. The judge ordered that he surrender his firearms and his passport. D'Souza faces 3 counts of failure to file taxes. Those charges could carry a 3-year prison sentence and a $75,000 fine. The Baltimore County Council is hosting a public hearing tonight to discuss replacing Kevin Kamenetz. Kamenetz unexpectedly died earlier this month from cardiac arrest. The meeting will be held tonight at 7:30 at the historic courthouse in Towson. Well, of course, now we want to get another check with your traffic and your weather.
That's right. We do it every 10 minutes. Candace Dole watching the roads for us. But let's get over first to Jonathan Myers. He has a look at the forecast and severe weather headed our way, Jonathan.
Yeah, perhaps. And we start with some scattered light rain here and there. Pickup time, recess. So jackets, rain jackets, we'll say, going to be needed today. And drop-off time, 72 degrees. But we are tracking some severe weather for drop-off time as well. Notice all the rain and thunderstorms north and west. Let you know when that's going to get here and how it could affect your commuting today, coming up in just about 10 minutes. Stick around. Now, Candace Old's here with our traffic edge.
All right, thanks, Jonathan. We did have that portion of Bel Air Road closed yesterday, but all lanes are back open after the police investigation there. 95 is moving just fine through White Marsh, but not eventually leading down through Howard County. A crash on the southbound side between 100 and 175. We're talking about significant delays as far back as 195. They're trying to open some lanes, but the damage is already done. It's also heavy out along 295, and then 29 is seeing that volume. So at this point, you could use 1 instead. Now be aware, 100 is packed. So today I would use 32. Back over to you.
So with all due respect, what do you do for the rest of the day?
I just sit there because that's what they want me to do.
A Baltimore City teacher says her salary is just being wasted while she's paid to do almost nothing.
And the Birds fly west for a series with the White Sox. Find out if they could get the job done in Chicago. 7:12, you're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning.